Kadashi. So Kadashi is always an opportunity to go a bit more deeper in the spiritual sadhana. So we spend some more time. But Krishna willing, everything is well. Thank you so much. And my apologies. Last class we had. Right, I put down. Last class we had issues where we couldn't be on time. Now I lost the track of time while just trying to be on time. So my apologies for that. I'm glad that we managed. Last class. Sorry, that was just going live. So good to be here today. We will start mantra 14. And we've been doing mantra 13, mantra 12 and 13 for a while now. And mantra 12, 13, we spend good time understanding. So mantra 14 is going to conclude what we've been doing in mantra 12 and 13 because it's a theme on Sambhuti and Ansambhuti. So a lot of thoughts, and this is something we have done it in the past as well. So similar concept is going to be repeated again and again. But let's start the session with seeking blessings of Srila Prabhupada and all the parampara. So let's have Mangla Charan and then we shall resume the session. Oh. अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथवितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सवादूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखावितं च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, शिला गुरुदेव महाराज की जय। जय जय श्री राधे श्याम। Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to today's session, which is on Shri Īśopaniṣad Mantra 14. So, सभी भक्तों का स्वागत है। हम श्री ईशोपनिषद सीरीज के अंदर मंत्र 14 आज शुरू करेंगे। So far, we have already seen the invocation mantra, the Īśopaniṣad principle, the benefits, the advantages, disadvantages, how and why we should live in harmony. And if you weren't able to live with Īśopaniṣad principle, rather than giving all the credit to Krishna, the Lord, Ishwar, if we take the credit for ourselves, then we cannot avoid disharmony. So अगर हम संपूर्ण रूप से भगवान को समर्पित होकर कोई भी कार्य करेंगे तो हम हार्मनी में, हम सुगत भूमिका के साथ में रह सकते हैं। अगर हम किसी भी चीज का थोड़ा सा भी श्रेय लेने की कोशिश करेंगे, चाहे वो हमारे स्किल्स हो, चाहे वो हमारी नॉलेज हो, चाहे वो हमारा एक्सपीरियंस हो, इसमें से कोई भी चीज अगर हम कहें कि ये हमने किया है, तो उसकी वजह से हमारी जो ईगो है, और जो ईगो है वो सबसे बड़ी बाधा बनती है इस हमारी स्पिरिचुअल जर्नी में। तो हमारे अंदर ईगो बिल्कुल नहीं होनी चाहिए। So the ego, the false ego, the adjective is false. So ego in itself is not bad. Ego is, so obviously when we say ego, most of the time we refer it to false ego. But when we say ego, it is false ego, which is, so ego itself is just the identity. Now, false ego is what we are not and we think we are. For example, we are not the owner and proprietor of anything. Even the heart, the liver, we have in our body. So, Gopi Geet in Srimad Bhagavatam, such a beautiful Gopi Geet. And in that, gopis, they criticize Brahma because Brahma gave this body. Brahma was the first human and he was the architect of the whole Brahmand. He gave this body and he gave the eyes, and in eyes we have the eyelids. And gopis, they said that Krishna is right at front of us, and we want to keep looking at Krishna, but then these eyelids, just for few milliseconds, they go down, and which we can't control. So we don't want to stop looking at Krishna even for that fraction of seconds. So we don't have control on our body, never mind control over anything or anybody else. So if we live in that, then that will be great. So this is the false ego where we try to take credit. But true ego is when we realize Krishna is the source of everything. And that's the first mantra, Īśopaniṣad principle. Īśopaniṣad. Everything belongs to Ishwar. Everything belongs to the Lord. Now, moving on, we saw 4 to 8 that Ishwar could not be understood by spiritual vision, or could only be understood by spiritual vision, could not be understood by material vision. तो हम अपनी भौतिक इंद्रियों से भगवान को नहीं समझ सकते। उसके लिए हमको स्पिरिचुअल, आध्यात्मिक विजन चाहिए, और वो आध्यात्मिक चक्षु जो हैं वो शास्त्र के चक्षु होते हैं। The knowledge provided by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And of course, what Guru and Sadhu will do, they will repeat what's there in the Shastras. They will repeat it and they will demystify, because there are so many Shastras which is very hard for us to understand, especially if we are not trained in that. A lot of terminologies are confusing. There is a scripture called Vedanta Sar. And in Vedanta Sara, the whole idea is that is full of definitions. So because there are so many definitions around, so somebody decided that everybody should understand that this word means this. And so I work in engineering consultancy. In engineering consultancy, whenever we write any document explaining anything, right at the front we have of course, we have the index, the contents, but then we have the glossary at the end, where we define that these words mean this. So this is something Vedanta Sara has done it. So this is what the Shastras do, and this is what Guru and Sadhu, they demystify what's there in the Shastras. And then moving from 4 to 8, 9 to 11, right and wrong Vidya, the knowledge, the understanding, what's good, what's not good. And right at the end, Mantra 11 was that everything right and wrong will go together. If we have knowledge about something, there will definitely be few things we will not have knowledge about. So PhD professor in physics will have knowledge about one section of physics, but will not know a lot of things about chemistry, physics, economics, and a lot of other subjects. So similarly, if we would like to decide conscious decision that we will have in spiritual knowledge, we would like to spend time in spiritually, definitely there will be a lot of news, a lot of sports, a lot of political briefings we have to miss. So this is what we have to understand, that right and wrong Vidya, what they are and what are the benefits. So this is what mantra 9 and mantra 10 says, that if we go this way, then the results will be different. If you go that way, results will be very, very different. So consciously we have to identify which route we will have to take. For mantra 11, take whichever route we will take, we will be wise in one, but we will be unwise in another. For example, if somebody asks me a few things about politics, and this year is so happening that in UK, in US, and in India, elections going to happen. So a lot of friends, they are so much involved in politics and they would like to discuss a lot of things, and I'm unwise, I can't say anything on that. And this is my conscious decision I have made. Of course, you could recap on the news and you could be part of the conversation, or sometimes I've realized it's better, because in Shastras there's a word used which is prajalpa, that talking about those subjects which are not going to fulfill the purpose of your life, it's like wasting your time. And that's called prajalpa, which is just gossiping in general, which is not going to help in your spiritual sadhana. So this is a conscious decision. No need to feel bad about it, because as the mantra 11 and now mantra 14 will say very similar, because remember mantra 9 to 11, they are very similar to mantra 12 to 14. So mantra 9 and 12, mantra 10 and 13, mantra 11 and 14, they're very similar in the theme. So the only thing is 9 to 11 is right and wrong knowledge, vidya, understanding. Mantra 12 to 14 is about the worship. So now we will go and do mantra 14. And today I will, and it's a shame, I don't remember the name of Prabhuji's. I don't know if the Prabhuji's name was mentioned, but you might be able to see a picture. I've intentionally put Prabhuji's picture to give credit to him. That Prabhuji has done, I think there is a YouTube channel, Gita Online. So as you would know, that I usually include the presentations from Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, Radhesham Prabhuji, and then if there is a presentation on Hare Krishna TV channel, then of course they all, the basis is still the same, which is the Shri Īśopaniṣad from Srila Prabhupada, all the commentaries, but the presentation is a bit different. The perspective, the angle they have, the way they have presented is a bit different. So I've also included, so Radhesham Prabhuji and Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji's presentations are also there. I've also included this Prabhuji's presentation as well. And when we combine these three together, then hopefully we understand things even better. And that's the whole purpose behind it. So as you would see, that very similar what we have seen here. So this is a thematic division of Shri Īśopaniṣad, or like Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji said here. So this is a very similar category, that invocation to mantra 3, how to live in harmony with Ishvara. Of course, disharmony is also part of it, but we would like to focus on harmony. And this is how we can understand that at some point the whole idea is that we will share this knowledge from someone. So many years back when I did my Bhakti Shastri, I did this Shri Īśopaniṣad. I was there sitting in Bhakti Vedanta manner. and great devotees, they come around, and with such a compassion they taught. And then of course I did many other courses later on, and I'm sharing this with you all. Now the whole idea is that whatever we receive from Guru Parampara, we share with the others. So if at any point you would, and I would encourage everyone here in the call and watching on YouTube live as well, that please share this with the others. And maybe this is a good time to mention in Hindi as well, because कुछ कई बार काफ़ी इवन दो सेशंस का नाम है इंग्लिश और हिंदी में हम ये करते हैं, लेकिन कई बार सिर्फ हम इंग्लिश की तरफ चले जाते हैं। तो मैं माफ़ी मांगना चाहूँगा हिंदी भाषी भक्तों से, जिनके लिए कई बार कम हिंदी प्रयोग में आती है। तो हम देख सकते हैं कि हम अगर कोई भी चीज़ लर्न करते हैं तो उसका मेन कंसेप्ट यही होता है, अगर हम वो उसको रखना चाहते हैं अपने साथ, जो भी हमने सीखा है उस नॉलेज को, उस विद्या को हम चाहते हैं कि हमारे साथ में वो रहे, हम उसे रिमेंबर करें, हम उसे याद रख पाएँ। तो 2 तरीके के उसके बताए गए हैं। एक कि हम उसको बार-बार, बार-बार पढ़ें, और वैदिक कल्चर के अंदर हमारे पास में एक प्रोसेस होता है, जो हम रिसेंटली कल ही डिस्कस कर रहे थे, कि उसमें 3 स्टेप्स बताए गए हैं। पहला है श्रवणम, हम सुने। दूसरा है मननम, हम उसको मेडिटेट करें। मेडिटेट का मतलब अब हम दोबारा उसको देखें कि क्या कहा, कैसे सुना, उसके पीछे और क्या हो सकता है। इसलिए मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि हम जो भी वीकेंड पे सैटरडे मॉर्निंग ये सेशन करते हैं, तो पूरा थ्रू आउट वीक उसको लिव करने की कोशिश करें। जो भी चीज़ हमने डिस्कस करी है, और मेबी कुछ डिस्कशन पॉइंट्स आएँ, कुछ क्वेश्चन्स आएँ, उसको फिर नेक्स्ट सेशन के अंदर हमें डिस्कस करने चाहिए। या हमारा व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है, उसके ऊपर हम कुछ डाल सकते हैं। बहुत भक्त हैं जो टाइम क्लैश की वजह से यहाँ आ नहीं पाते हैं, लेकिन यूट्यूब पे जब भी उन्हें, व्हाट्सएप पे उन्हें जब भी मौका मिलता है, यूट्यूब पे जब भी मौका मिलता है, वो उसमें कमेंट्स करते हैं। तो कोई भी क्वेश्चन्स हो, कोई भी डिस्कशन पॉइंट हो, तो हमें आपस में शेयर करना चाहिए। तो पहला श्रवणम, दूसरा मननम कि हमें मेडिटेट करना चाहिए, सुना जो है हमने, और फिर तीसरा है नित्य साधना, कि जो अब हमने सुना है, जिसको मेडिटेट किया है, उसको हमको रेगुलर कंटिन्यूअस डे टू डे लाइफ के अंदर 24/7 वो नॉलेज हम अपने मैनिफेस्ट कर पाए। So religion is the manifestation in itself. जो भी हम स्पिरिचुअल नॉलेज, गुरु साधु शास्त्र के थ्रू जो भी सीखते हैं, जो भी ज्ञान हम लेते हैं, वो हमारे डे टू डे लाइफ के अंदर इम्प्लीमेंट होगा, मैनिफेस्ट होगा, हमारे व्यवहार के अंदर आएगा। सिर्फ ये नहीं कि हाँ हम अब नॉलेजेबल हो गए, हम किसी के साथ शेयर कर सकते हैं, डिस्कस कर सकते हैं। तो प्लीज इसके ऊपर ज़रूर विचार कीजिएगा, मनन कीजिएगा। ये वैदिक कल्चर के अंदर हमेशा ये 3 चीज़ें रही थी, और आज भी काफ़ी ऐसे हैं। हम अगर हरे कृष्णा मूवमेंट में भी देखें, हम सुनते हैं, उसके बाद फिर उसके ऊपर क्वेश्चंस करते हैं, डिस्कशंस करते हैं, और उसके बाद रेगुलर उस चीज़ के अंदर, हमारे वैदिक कल्चर के अंदर बहुत, बहुत, बहुत जगह आप देखेंगे किसी एक पॉइंट को समझाने के लिए उसको बार-बार, 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 बार-बार रिपीट किया है, क्योंकि फ़ोकस यही है कि वो चीज़ हमारे साथ में रह पाए। हम उस चीज़ को हमेशा अपने किसी भी व्यवहार के अंदर कभी भी उस चीज़ को रख पाएँ। So, because sometimes some devotees, they said, so when we go to office, we leave the spirituality behind, because in office we cannot be spiritual. But if we are spiritual, then we cannot leave spirituality behind. It's like fire. If the true nature of fire is to provide heat energy, to provide burn, then wherever that fire will be. Of course, if the fire is there in the desert, then the fire will be even more hot because of the environment. If that fire will be on North Pole, South Pole, where it's very cold, the intensity of fire might be, because of the environment, might feel a bit. Its intensity, if you think about it, is still the same. But because of the weather, because of the surrounding, will feel that it's a bit lesser. So of course that could happen, but the true nature of a devotee will always be there. Even if devotee would like to shed that, it's not possible. It's just not possible. to leave their spirituality behind, and that's where we would like to be. So somebody said to Mirabai ji that, can you stop taking the name of the Lord? And she said, even if I want, I can't do it, because it's not in my hand anymore. So this is what we are discussing. This is the topic of mantra 14. Now remember Asambhuti and Sambhuti. So for our discussion for today, mantra 14, and if we just consider these two words, Sambhuti and Asambhuti, and how Srila Prabhupada ji has explained in this mantra, that considers Sambhuti as spiritual and Asambhuti as material. Right? There could be many different ways we can take it, but Sambhuti is spiritual, Asambhuti is material. Probably that's the easiest way to remember and understand this mantra, mantra 14. So from here, if we go further, we will see what happens. So this is from Prabhuji again. We have seen so mantra 12, 13, 14, how they go together. Mantra 12, Asambhuti leads to darkness, but Sambhuti leads to greater darkness. So we remember that if he said material and spiritual, then material leads to darkness. Okay, we understand. If somebody will just spend time in sense gratification, then definitely things will go down. And we have seen it. Those people who have spent a lot of time in sense gratification, at some point they realize that that's not the way of life. Whether their health goes down because they didn't take good care of their health, whether they have eaten a lot more, or otherwise they have misutilized their bodies, and of course if their mind and their lifestyle, everything. But Sambhuti leads to greater darkness, and this could be confusing. If we said spiritual, but what kind of spiritual that is? That's like when Prabhupada ji said that if we drink milk which has already been tasted by a snake, then that milk is now a poison. And this is what it meant, that not any kind of spirituality is good. And so we should be very careful, because on the face of it, it might look spiritual, but it might not be spiritual. And this has happened. And I was watching our Prabhuji called, I forgot his name, such a beautiful name, Amog Leela Prabhuji, who has visited Northeast Mizoram, and there are two videos he has made for his visit to Mizoram, and how intensely Hare Krishna movement is spreading in the tribes area. That people are so poor, and the way they are expressing their love and affection towards Krishna and the devotees. So if you get the chance, then Amog Leela Prabhuji's couple of videos, 2 sessions he made. I think the second video is only for 10 minutes. But we see how fortunate and lucky we are. And not all are so fortunate. We can have this spiritual classes just sitting in our comfort homes, but those people out there, they don't have any means, no temples, no, not even schools. And how Hare Krishna devotees are making these, there are a lot of people who've been converted to different religions, and because of them it's very hard for them to bring back here. And that's the kind of sambhuti we are talking about. That maybe other religions feel like sambhuti, feel like spiritual, but maybe the whole idea is just to extend the number of there is nothing wrong in other religions, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is sometimes there are many, and maybe they are innocent and they just want to convert others just to increase the numbers, not to make them spiritual, not that in their life anything is going to change, not that they are going to be more happy, more wiser, more kind, more compassionate, but just if they have changed, then their mission is successful because they have converted so many different people. So that's why in Vedanta there is no concept of conversion. Anybody could follow any other religion and could follow anything in the Vedas, anything. So anybody could do the yajna, Anybody could do yoga, anybody could do Ayurveda, anybody could read Shri Īśopaniṣad, anybody could utilize any of the knowledge given in Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Nobody needs to get converted into Hinduism, which is not even a word in the Vedic culture, but Vedic culture is a culture anybody could follow, and many do. Many do. I have friends here, they follow Buddhism, but they are born as proper English man, and they follow Buddhism now, but they follow the Vedic culture, and they take homeopathy. So another good friend of mine, he takes homeopathy, and we discuss Ayurveda a lot. Does he need to convert? Not at all. He loves and enjoys, and we always have a good, healthy discussion. So this is what we need to understand: Sambhuti and Asambhuti. But Asambhuti leads to one result, and Sambhuti leads to another result. So that's a concept which we have discussed before in mantra 10. That a lot of time people say, oh, all the marks are the same, whichever way you go. And this is what we say here, and we explained it very well. Srila Prabhupada explained it very nicely. That no, if you take the train to Calcutta, train to Mumbai, then your destination will be different. And similarly, in spirituality, whichever route we are taking, the destination will be different. Remember, the destination is to serve Krishna and Krishna's devotees, to have that prema. But if we don't understand that, because it could be very abstract to understand it, we can understand we need to improve our consciousness, because that's very easy for us to understand, that we should not get angry. For example, there are 6 different vikars we get. We should not get that. And even if we start from there, we can see whether the spiritual practices we are doing, whether they are working or not, whether the mala, the chanting we are doing, it's even if it's slight, because we don't know how big the baggage is. We don't really know. It's like 2 people got 2 bags, and both of them take 2 pieces of cloth out of their bags, and one person's bag is empty because there were only 2 pieces of clothes there, but the other person had 10. So there is still work to be done to remove rest of the 8. Now, if we say both of them did the same action, took the 2 pieces of clothes out, but still one's bag is empty, others not. So we don't really know how big, how heavy, how messy our bag is. But what we do know, what we can realize is that we are becoming lightweighted. And definitely it's burning. Whether everything is burnt or not, but it's burning, and that's how we know the process is good. Right? So now chapter mantra 14, that Asambhuti and Sambhuti together grant immortality. And if you remember, mantra 11 was very similar, where knowledge, vidya and avidya both go together. So the essence, if I say, is that materially we can never become immortal. Materially we can never become immortal, and spiritually we can become immortal. Right? So this is the essence of mantra 14, and there are different ways of explaining it. So mantra 14, 12 to 14, to know Ishwar, know the right and wrong worship. And that's why the mantra 12 started with demigod worship and Shri, and the impersonalism. And that's how we started, the right and wrong. How both of those could be right and how both of those could be wrong. So हमने जो बात करी मंत्र 12, मंत्र 13, मंत्र 14 में हमने यही बात करी कि हम देख सकते हैं मंत्र 12 के अंदर देवी देवताओं का पूजन किस तरीके से सही है और किस तरीके से गलत है। अगर हम देवी देवताओं का पूजन कर रहे हैं इसलिए कि हमारी जो स्पिरिचुअल साधना है, हमारे जो आध्यात्मिक कॉन्शियसनेस, हमारा जो चित्त है वो शुद्ध हो रहा है, शुद्ध हो, हम भक्ति मार्ग में आगे बढ़ें, उसके लिए अगर हम देवी देवताओं से प्रार्थना करते हैं तो वो सही है। लेकिन अगर देवी देवताओं की प्रार्थना हम इसलिए करते हैं क्योंकि हमको कुछ मटेरियल गेन चाहिए, अच्छी जॉब चाहिए, बच्चा चाहिए, घर चाहिए, गाड़ी चाहिए, तो फिर वो गलत है। मंत्र 13 में हमने देखा, ऐसा नहीं कह सकते कि कोई कुछ भी करे, मार्ग सभी मार्ग एक ही, भगवान के ही मार्ग हैं, एक ही जगह जाएंगे, ऐसा नहीं है। गलत कार्य करेंगे गलत होगा, सही कार्य करेंगे सही होगा। गलत खाना खाएंगे बॉडी के ऊपर गलत फर्क पड़ेगा, सही खाना खाएंगे तो बॉडी के ऊपर सही फर्क पड़ेगा। मंत्र 14 के अंदर हम देखेंगे असंभूति एंड असंभूति। संभूति जो आध्यात्म है और असंभूति जो हमारा मटेरियल वर्ल्ड है, भौतिक है। तो भौतिक संसार के अंदर कभी भी ये भौतिक शरीर जो अमर होना चाहता है वो कभी भी नहीं हो सकता। ये वृत्ति, ये विचार कि हम अमर हो जाएं, हमारा शरीर अमर हो जाए, ये असुरी प्रवृत्ति है, ये विचार ही असुरी है। हम स्पिरिचुअल, हम आध्यात्मिक रूप से अमर हो सकते हैं, और वो कैसे हो सकते हैं उसके ऊपर मंत्र 14 के ऊपर डिस्कशन। तो अगर अभी तक कोई हमारा प्रश्न नहीं है तो हम आगे जाके देखेंगे कि असंभूति और संभूति। सो मंत्र 12 में हमने डेमिगॉड्स की बात करी, संभूति इम्पर्सनल एब्सोल्यूट की बात करी। हमने देखा एनीथिंग अदर देन सुप्रीम पर्सनालिटी ऑफ गॉड असंभूति है, सुप्रीम पर्सनालिटी ऑफ गॉड संभूति है। तो ये हम देख चुके हैं। मंत्र 14 के अंदर नॉलेज ऑफ मटेरियल वर्ल्ड, भौतिक संसार, और भगवान के बारे में जो कि अध्यात्म। तो भौतिक संसार और अध्यात्म का जो कंपैरिजन है ये हम मंत्र 14 के अंदर देखेंगे। यहाँ पे बहुत सारे चीजें हैं जो कि हमने मंत्र 12 से लेके मंत्र 13 तक रिकैप किया है। इसमें हम दोबारा से नहीं जाएंगे। अगर आप के साथ में मैंने ऑलरेडी ये स्लाइड्स शेयर नहीं करी हैं तो फील फ्री, मैं ये सारी स्लाइड्स आपके साथ शेयर कर सकता हूँ। लेकिन इसके अंदर वही चीज़ें हैं जो हम पहले डिस्कस कर चुके हैं। अगर आप इसमें से कोई भी एक दो चीज़ें पढ़ें, युक्त वैराग्य की हमने बात करी, सोशल सर्विस किस तरीके से होनी चाहिए, और हमने मदर टेरेसा जी की बात करी थी। ये सारी वही चीज़ें हैं जो कि हम पहले प्रेजेंटेशंस मंत्र 12 मंत्र 13 में बात कर चुके हैं। मानव सेवा ही माधव सेवा के ऊपर हम बात कर चुके हैं। So now, what we will do, we will move on to mantra 14. Mantra 14, if you see how devotional service grants immortality. So as we said, that the body, the materially, we will never able to become immortal, but devotionally, spiritually, we can become immortal. Right? So, भौतिक संसार में भौतिक रूप से हम कभी भी अमर नहीं हो सकते, लेकिन आध्यात्मिक रूप से हम इस चीज को रियलाइज कर सकते हैं। ये इतनी अच्छी चीज है कि हमें कुछ करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि जो हम आत्मा हैं वो आत्मा ऑलरेडी अमर है। तो हमें ऐसा नहीं है कि हमें वो अमरता को प्राप्त करने के लिए कुछ करने की जरूरत है। वी डोंट नीड टू मेक एनी एफर्ट टू बिकम immortal. We just need to realize the true nature of the soul. Well, of course, the very first thing we need to realize that this body and mind are not us. This body is not us. This mind is not me. What we are, the true identity, is the spirit soul, the spiritual soul. That soul within this body, behind this body and mind, is that spiritual soul. And that soul is already eternal. And if that is eternal, then there is nothing to worry about this material body, right? For example, when we go on the train and different train or tube stations come and the passengers come and go, we don't cry for them, do we? But when this body goes, we cry for this body. We cry for our own body, we cry for others' body who are very close to us. For example, in a train station, somebody sat with us for 24 hours. When that person is departing, then we might think, okay, that person is going away now, right? So it's just a matter of time. And in this mantra, we will also see the significance of time. And the essence is to realize how insignificant we are, even though we think we are significant, but how insignificant us and our timeline is. It's like a mosquito. It says, I think 20 minutes. Certain kind of mosquito, the average lifespan of that mosquito is only 20 minutes. So some obviously live less, some live more, but the average if we take for that mosquitoes species is 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, most of the mosquitoes will die. But for those mosquitoes, that 20 minutes is their lifetime. Similarly, even if we live for 100 years, which seems to be very rare these days, 80 and even 60 people are, even 50 people realize they are old. So even if we live 100 years, from comparison to the spiritual beings, it's even less than 20 minutes. But for us, it's the whole lifetime. And hence, we would like to become, we get so attached to this material body, and we feel we get attached, and because of that, the whole trouble, all desires come up. So if we go beyond the material body, and in material body we have both. We have the gross body and we have the subtle body. And remember, subtle body is made up of three things, which is the mind, the brain, intelligence. So mind, intelligence, and the ego, the false ego. And if we could transform that false ego towards intelligence, then the mind becomes a spiritual, and we go beyond it to realize our spiritual soul. Mind is always in between. If mind goes towards the false identity, then mind will say, we are body, look after your body, have a sense gratification mode. But if mind goes towards the intelligence, then intelligence tells you, and this is like, not that we only need to read and realize and have a faith. From our day-to-day experience, we can see. We see so many people getting older. Hare Krishna. Mataji, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. It's mind, the subtle body's mind, intelligence, and the false ego. Has
Yeah.
false ego been always been there since we came on this material world, or since we evolved from spiritual world into the material world, or is it something that we have acquired after coming here?
Right. Yes. So from a spiritual world, thus only the soul came down. And when we will go back, only the spiritual soul will go down. The material body and the mind, intelligence, and the false ego, all those three will stay here. The reason we get birth after one, so the vicious circle, birth after birth, we get because of those three things, because the subtle body, because this body dies, we see it right at the front of our eyes, but the subtle body remains. The day subtle body dies, we will get, let's say, enlightened, which means we will not, the different meaning of enlightenment, but in simple terms, then we will not get the next birth in material world, then we will go back to spiritual world. If those three, which is the subtle body, if the subtle body dies, or another way of putting is, if the false ego transforms into the true ego, which means that now we realize we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, and then all the attachments will just break. And break in a sense, we are living in normal, but we don't have any desires left, because the whole idea, and the desires are not in the body, desires are in the subtle mind, which is mainly due to, it's in the mind, but it's due to the false ego. So because of the false ego, we have the desires in the mind. Mind contemplate, and then mind wants, and mind makes the gross body work. If mind will say, the false ego will say, oh, I want that, I want that, not Krishna wants that, not devotee wants that, I want that. So false ego will give that bad, very false identity to the mind. And mind will say, oh, right, okay, I want that. Then mind will acquire that I. And then mind will make the body, will say to the eyes, watch this, and will go, say to the hands, go and do these things. So likewise said, knowledge acquiring and the physical movements. So because of the false ego, this life cycle goes. Now when the false ego will be transformed, false ego will not ask for anything from the mind. Mind will not contemplate anything material. Now mind will on, so the false ego will say, I'm only the servant, I only want to serve. No, don't want anything. I just want to serve. And there is no reason behind it. Again, the one of the best examples is when the mother will serve the kids. Nothing in return. Just want to serve, just want to protect the child, because this is my child, right? And then if somebody becomes like Mother Teresa or Srila Prabhupada didn't see whether the person is American, Canadian, everybody he could see. So Bhakti Tirtha Swamiji Maharaj, he was the first one who was he was a lion, well, just like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ji, that he said outburst that he was the Srila Prabhupada ji never saw me as a black man. He saw my soul, and he gave me that vision that how can I see that? How can I treat? So that's when the false ego transforms into true ego. That I'm not black or white or American or Indian or Canadian. I am the soul, and everybody else is the soul. And this is the first step, which is Brahman realization. That not only that Krishna is there within me, Krishna is in everyone. So Paramatma realization. Then the Bhagwan realization that we need to serve to everyone. Then there is no desire other than to serve. And then of course people serve those devotees who can sing, they will just sing for others. Those who can play, they will play for others. Those who can cook, those who can give lectures, those who can do book distribution, based on their whatever Krishna has given to them, they will just serve. And that's the true. Then when person dies, if it's false ego say, oh, I'm dying, I'm losing this physical body, but I still have that desire left. Here we go, that will be the beginning of the next birth. But now when the person will die, there is only one thing, there's only one desire, if we call it as a desire, that I want to serve. And then Krishna says, then that person could come back, and then that person will take birth in a spiritual family, in an aristocrat family, in a bhakti environment, maybe become a like we have all the great senior Vaishnavas. And then the whole idea is to serve. Now we see His Holiness Keshav Maharaj Ji, Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj Ji. He's of my age. I'm engrossed in material body, and in my material life, parents, family, wife, kids, and him, he doesn't have any agenda. Whenever I hear, I see him, it's only serving Krishna and Krishna devotees. So how does that happen? So now, obviously, he's going back, and maybe the only reason he stayed back in this material world is to serve. Like Srila Prabhupada ji said that I'm only here to get a lot of devotees back. And many other, so Guru Maharaj ji said the similar thing, that if I want to, if devotees need me, you can pray to Krishna, I will stay longer to serve you. But otherwise, it's okay. If you all are ready, I'm happy to go. So, very nice question, Mataji.
So, Prabhuji, the
Yes,
false ego, mind, which is the worst? Is it the false ego which is the worst, or mind, or our mind which
false
false,
ego.
false ego is the worst?
Yes.
Yeah.
False ego make the mind to think.
Okay.
Yes. So if the ego will get, so the Sanskrit word, like in English, if I say it burns, and burns in a way that when we put the gold in the fire, all the impurities. So gold is always there with copper or brass, because a 24 karat gold cannot, it's very delicate, durable, so it cannot stand in a shape. So we mix impurity in it, we add copper in it, we add bronze in it. But if you would like to purify that, so when the jewelers would like to see what the real content of it, then we put the gold in fire. And then when we put the gold in fire, the impurity will get, it just burns. But the what's left is the pure gold. And that's what we are. So when our ego is just burnt, then what's left is the pure consciousness. That's the true identity. And then we can see what we are, then we can see what others are, and then there is no attachment, there is no desire, there is nothing left after that. And when we are in touch with the senior devotees, or maybe sometimes we are in the lectures, sometimes when we are in a kirtan, then we do get those glimpses. So you might have realized it. Maybe we say shana, momentarily, moments come when we did realize, oh, nothing was there. People say, oh, I forgot everything. And interesting enough, so Mandukya Upanishad says that like there are three steps. One is the waking world, which we are waking now. Then we are sleeping, when we sleep. But then there is a deep sleep. Deep sleep is when we don't know anything what happened that time. So that time, if we see, we don't have any attachments left. And that is the closest experience, even though we don't remember that experience. But that happens, we experience that experience every night whenever we go in the deep sleep, because we don't desire anything. Even in the desire, even in the dreams, when we are sleeping, we are dreaming. So the first is waking, second is dreaming, which is part of the sleeping. So it's waking, sleeping. Even in the sleeping, what kind of dreams we have? We have the dreams of the desires. And of course, sometimes it could be what we don't want, because the desire is that we don't want this, or the desire is we want that. So those dreams will come. And that's also because of our attachment. But when we go to the third level, deep sleep, then we forget everything. Even if the thief will come, will take everything, we are not bothered, right? And that experience, of course, the only thing is we don't remember that. Every day or every night, we go into that phase, into that mode, but we don't remember it. And some people say that beyond that deep sleep, there is called Turiya. Srila Prabhupada also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita and in Srimad Bhagavatam, not a lot in details, but that Turiya is the fourth form, fourth state. It's actually it's experience. The Upanishads say it's very hard to put a name to it. But Turiya literal means is fourth. And that fourth means it's not waking, it's not dreaming, it's not even deep sleep. It's something beyond that. And what is beyond that? The the easiest way, or the simplest way to put that is the one who is experiencing all these three. So when I'm awake, who is who knows that I am awake? That's my consciousness. That's me. That's my true identity, not false identity. False identity is that I want this. True identity is that this body or this mind or this false ego wants something. Somebody who is watching that, who is witnessing that. And then, of course, when we are dreaming, we can see we are dreaming. We know we are dreaming. But who was that? Who is that? Who knows that I'm dreaming? That who is witnessing that? And then when we go into deep sleep, it says it's not the lack of experiences, or it's not the absence of experiences, is the experience of absence. And this is very abstract, but it's like if we have torch, if we have a torch in the darkness and we put on the object will shine, right? But imagine there is no object. The light is there, but there is no object. But the light is still there. But we don't know about the light. Maybe you would remember sometimes. So I was born in India, and light used to go away a lot. And we used to have handy torches, small, and you could just put it here. Sometimes there's no object. You don't know if the light is working or not. What we will do, we put the hand at the front of the torch to see if the light is there or not. When we put the object, the hand, and the light will fall on the hand, then only we will know, yes, it's working, the light is there, right? And if we take the hand away, the light is there. So which means consciousness is there, but the object is not there. Now, if we bring that back to our own perspective, then consciousness, we are there, the true identity is there, but there is no object of desire left. There is no object of desire left. Consciousness is there, the light is there. We can see everything. So the enlightened beings or the pure devotees, they see everything, they do everything, but they don't have that desire. There is no attachment with any object, none. And that consciousness is the true identity. That consciousness is pure consciousness. There is, because that consciousness has burnt itself, so the impurities have gone down. And how do we burn? Like it says, we do the devotional services.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, Prabhuji. Very nice. Thank you. Very nice answer.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for that, and I appreciate it. Could be confusing as well sometimes, and this is a thing where the Vedas started. So the Rig Veda was the only Veda. Then that was split into four, and then the Upanishads came. Then the Vedanta Sar. So Upanishads are actually the part of Vedas. So a big Veda, the right at the end of Vedas, we have small parts, and those are called Upanishads. But then somebody decided to take those and make as a separate Shastra. So this is particular Upanishad, and they work very well, but they are very abstract. Now, unfortunately, for us, during the way Kali progressed, the intelligence has gone down. And we can see in our lifetime, there was a time we used to remember 10 phone numbers because there was no digital diary anywhere, right? We could just remember the numbers in our mind. We could remember the birthdays of everyone. But now it's so hard. We don't even remember our own family members' birthdays. So our intelligence gone down. And in another form, if we see, the objects are so many. The objects are so many in the market. Marketing has gone up so much that our consciousness, even if the consciousness would like to be pure, then the objects are all over the place. You open the email, the advertisement will come. You go to the YouTube, advertisement come. Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Twitter, Tinder, there are TikTok. There's so many of those, so many. I mean, I've said so many names, but still my kids will think that I'm outdated. I don't even know the latest one. And I'm sure I must have missed like Snapchat. So they keep coming, they keep coming. So these are called object desires. So when the objects are there, the desires are there. So the consciousness, which needs to be flow of energy, flow of light, but the object is there, that's it. The light, the consciousness become impure. Each and every object will make it impure. Of course, one day, this is so there are two things. One is the sadhaka, somebody who is training. So we are sadhaks. We are not, well, I can say for myself, I'm not a pure devotee. I'm practicing devotee. I'm practicing, which means I stand up, I fall down. Or Srila Prabhupada ji say other way around, that most of the time, so for us, we are fallen. Sometimes we stand up and we are Krishna conscious, but most of the time we are fallen in the material. But then that's so true. In my own personal realization, I can say that most of the time, even if you want, there are so many different things. So it's hard to understand, but that's it. The very first thing is the Shravanam. Now, Shravanam could be just by ears, Shravanam could be by eyes also, that we are watching something Krishna consciousness, like on YouTube, we might be watching presentation, or it could be that we are reading Krishna consciousness. So they all come into Shravanam. And then the second one, Mananam. Whatever we read, whatever we listen, read again and again, and then we discuss with someone. So for example, Ajay ji is there. So Prabhuji shares with Mataji. They both are there, they discuss with each other, and such a beautiful, we see as a family we grow together. And then of course they have Ishan there. And then if Ishan will see that the parents, they have changed, they have transformed, and it happens. It's like we don't even try, it just happened with us, right? And then the kids, they just pick, they are mirror copy. Of course, as they grow up, then they go to the schools and all, but whatever, still the parents and the house is always the first teaching, first school where the kids learn things. So it's all due to association. So that Mananan, second part, is very important. Then we just keep doing it again and again and again and again. Somebody said, for how long? A student asked in the Upanishad, how long should we do it? And the answer was, until you reach to the next step, which is Nitya. Nitya Sadhak is, Nitya is like eternal. Now 24/7 you are that. So if I'm VP Govindadas, well, whether I am sleeping and I don't remember anything, I'm still VP Govindadas. I don't have to do anything to become VP Govindadas. So when we realize that we are Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan realizations, once we have these realizations, that's it. Then no one could take it, no one could do. But until then, just keep practicing, just keep listening, keep meditating, keep discussing, until this becomes the living realization for us. So thank you so much, Mataji, for that. And we will get further in mantra 14, and we will compare more, because the essence of mantra 14 is the comparison between material and spiritual. So we will see a lot more in it, and then we will get further. And there are many nice beautiful slides from different devotees which we have together. So we will resume back next week, and I will confirm in advance, because next week is the Easter weekend. I think the family has planned something. I might be away, but I will let everyone knows in advance. So but otherwise, look forward to see everyone next Saturday, 9:30 a.m. And thank you for your presence. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your blessings. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev Maharaj ki jai. Jai Shri Radhe.
Krishna.
Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Thank you
Hare
so much.
Thank
Hare.
you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful class. Hare Krishna.